Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rahakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning to these videos. So in this video, I want to speak about how the remnant of the house of David are going to receive spiritual powers in these coming days. And as we can see, the times are moving quicker for the elect's sake. Esau knows that he has but a short time, therefore he's going to come down with great wrath, and he's going to pretty much force us into a dire strait where we would literally have to rely on the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. The standard is going to be lifted in those days. And if you read this here in John 14 verse 11, it says, "Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake." And so this is what's going to separate those in the world and those who are going to receive that spiritual power, is because the house of David, wherever they're at, are going to believe in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And so because of that, the angels are going to encamp around about them, and the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is going to sup with them. It's going to deal with them. So to the point where if they need something, if they have a want for something, all they have to do is ask in his name, and he's going to receive it. And that's going to be a form of spiritual power. But read verse 12. It says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father." And we can go down a list of things that Yahweh Shai did when he was down here on the earth. He made water into wine. He walked on water, and he was able to tell the storms and tempests to calm down. And he made a lot of food out of just a little bit. And so all these works and greater works are going to be performed here by the hopeful elect in these coming days, because Esau is going to come down with great wrath with that MOTB, that the only way we'd be able to survive through that is if the spiritual power is going to allow us to do these acts that Yahweh Shai also performed. I mean, as the scriptures say, if we believe in him, and you work in this ministry, you're going to do the works that he did and greater. And in verse 13, it reads, "And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son." So as long as we ask for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rahakodash, to protect us and keep us safe, and to intervene whenever we need it, it's going to happen. And so I have this account in Acts 2, which is the day of Pentecost, which is, I believe, it's the 50th day after the Passover, or when Yahweh Shai was thrown on a tree. I'm going to read chapter 2, verse 1. It reads, "And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place." So there was no schisms. That's the thing that's going to be an indicator of who is of the house of David, as there's not going to have any disagreements. We're all going to believe in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai in the name. Not going to have any wayward doctrines. And in verse 2, it reads, "And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting, and there appeared unto them cloven tongues, like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance." So the Spirit allowed them to speak in different dialects. And at this time, because I'm going to read this here in verse 5, there was a lot of devout Jews there in that area from different lands, and they had different tongues. But when the apostles were out there speaking to them, they were able to know and understand the gospel, so that the hopeful elect, whether they're ever scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, coming from whatever nation they're from, they're going to hear this word. The words of the Lord do not go out void. And that right there is a spiritual power. And you can see people in the world bugging out because of that. Is that all the apostles of Great Millstone did is start up a YouTube channel, pushed out this message through the unicorn, and now we have people in this ministry working for their own salvation. and that is an act of a miracle, pretty much, because this was not of our own. It was the Spirit of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai that did that through us. And I'm going to continue on. In verse 6 says, Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying to one another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born? As there is from Parthians and Medes and Elamites, and the dwellers of Mesopotamia, and in Judea and Cappadocia, and Pontus and Asia. And the list goes on to where all these Israelites they were dwelling from, when they were able to understand. And then I want to read this point here in verse 12 and 13. It says that they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying to one another, What meaneth this? Because this is going to be an astonishment. It's going to if you do this in today's times, you're gonna get a lot of people coming into the ministry asking questions, being sincere, because that standard is lifted. And it's not that we're out just speaking our thoughts or whatever, how they say. We're going to be actually out there performing miracles, and MLTV is going to be out there, so the people are going to need to eat. And so at that point, those who haven't entered in this ministry from the 1/3, they're going to come across these miracles and these men who are preaching Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai and actually performing these things. So that there's going to be a way to circumvent what Esau's trying to do with this whole his NWO agenda. But then, of course, verse 13 says, Others mocking said, These men are full of new wine. So we're going to have to go through that. Even when spiritual power is being performed, we're going to have a lot of scoffers saying that it's probably CGI or deep fakes. It's an AI generated scenario, or however it may be. But that's something that we understand in this ministry, that Yahweh Shai went through those type of things. We also have to go through those things. The servant is not greater than his master. And I want to also read this in 2 Samuel 23, because this is going into how David had mighty men, and they were able pretty much to do these mighty works. And these men are down here today. And so you have to, I actually recommend you read this chapter your own, because it goes into the list of what Eleazar did, and all these things, because it's a lot of great works that these men performed. And how much more, when they're down here today in their right state of mind, because they heard this word, they're cleansed, and they're seeing the miracles being performed, that they're going to come into this ministry again, and then we're all going to sup together. We're all going to be on one accord. And so that spiritual power is going to be lifted. It's going to be shown, and that's what that standard is going to be made. It ain't going to be no more scoffers at that time, when people are starving. And I'll read this here in Isaiah 40, and I'm going to read at verse 29. It says, He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. And so right now we're the meek right now, and Esau is above us, and even the 2/3 of the nation of Israel are above us, because we're a lowly people, to the point that the prophets are scoffed and scorned at. We're literally getting the most flank from our own people. But when we are actually praying to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, and actually working his ministry, doing what he was commanded to do, in those times, that he's going to come down, and he's going to send the Holy Spirit to us, so that we're able to maneuver. He's going to give us power and strength. I'm going to read verse 29 again. It says, He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. So in that day, we're going to have the might. We're not going to be entangled with the affairs of what we're going through in today's times. We most likely won't have to have a job. We'll have to be pilgrims at the time, but fear not, because we have the Spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai dealing with us. If anything, that's the best case scenario in the times that we're speaking about that are going to come ahead. And in verse 13, it reads, Even the youths shall faint and be weary. So all these people who are youths, they have the strength of their youth, or people that go to the gyms even, there ain't going to be a lot of food out there, and that MOTB is going to be made mandatory. So all these people who are above us and mighty, they're going to be faint and weary because ultimately they weren't working in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's ministry. Therefore, they're not going to receive of this glory, this gift of the spiritual powers, and the angels are camping around about them. Because the angels only encamp around about those who fear in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It's the other way around for the 2/3 of the wicked. But I'm gonna read verse 32 again, or 30 again. It says, "Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." And so, like with the spiritual power, like say the scenario is that you're a pilgrim and you have to walk from point A to point B. Well, it ain't going to be a problem because you're not going to experience being fatigued, or it says right here, it says they shall mount up with wings. You might just be able to jump up and then land to wherever you need to go. But all these things is for the spiritually discerned. It's not really for everybody. They're not going to understand, and it's patience also, because the people they want to see this now, but you have to be patient. But those in this ministry of the house of David, the remnant, we already see it right now. We already see that it's coming soon. And this is in the book of Joshua 23, verse 10. It says, "One man of you shall chase 1,000, for the Lord their power, he it is that fighteth for you, as he hath promised you." So because we're working in this ministry, well, I should get that in Isaiah 65. So long as we're working in this ministry, I think it's the other chapter. So he's going to take care of us. Oh yeah, so it was 65. I'm just going to get to the point. This is in Isaiah 65, verse 13. It says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed." So all those 2/3 and the people who are coming up against us, they're going to be ashamed in that day, because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is dealing with us to the point where we're going to be able to chase 1,000. That's not little, or a thing that you can see being performed nowadays. You're going to see that with the men of the Lord. And the last precept I want to read is in Isaiah 59, verse 19, and it reads, "So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him." And you can line this up with the precept in Revelation 12:12. Because Esau's coming down with great wrath. So just real quick, in Revelation 12:12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them." It says, "Rejoice to the hopeful elect that are going to receive these powers, or are going to be protected in those days." It says, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." But we're supposed to rejoice, because the Spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to lift up that standard. Because when the enemy comes down like the flood, we have nothing to worry about. So with that, I'd like to give all our praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rachakodash, Shalom Akim.